I was anxious, but also strangely excited. It had been a while since my last date, and the anticipation was building as I scrolled through profiles on a lesser-known dating app. Eventually, I initiated a conversation with a man called Alex. The app itself was rather unglamorous and only had a modest user base, but I preferred it that way. The smaller pool meant less overwhelming attention. As a moderately attractive woman, I knew how flooded you could get on mainstream platforms, like on Tinder. After some back and forth, Alex and I agreed to meet at a cozy Italian bistro in the heart of the city. Despite my initial nervousness, I arrived on time, thanks to Alex's thoughtful reservation. As I sat at our table, countless thoughts raced through my head. Would he live up to his profile? Would the chemistry be there? Little did I know that the evening would take a dark turn. Alex eventually arrived, albeit fashionably late. I instantly noticed something amiss. He appeared shorter than his profile had indicated, a detail that immediately raised red flags. Nevertheless, I brushed it aside. As we got into conversation, it became more and more obvious that Alex was not really himself. His leg was twitching non-stop, revealing an undeniable nervousness that filled the whole atmosphere. Awkward silences broke our conversation, and despite my best efforts to engage him, he seemed distant. As the evening continued, Alex's behavior became even more unpredictable. His knee bounced uncontrollably and made the table shake. His eyes avoided mine and darted nervously around the room. Something was wrong, even if I wasn't able to tell exactly what it was. Midway through our meal, I excused myself to the restroom, hoping to collect my thoughts in solitude. Little did I know my decision would turn out to be fateful. As I returned to my table, I was approached by a mysterious woman whose steady look cut through the noise of the restaurant. She took my drink from me. Her presence was insistent and commanding. "Stand up," she ordered, and her voice tolerated no objection. "We need to talk." Confusion clouded my mind as I agreed and followed her out into the cool night air. With a sense of urgency, she revealed a terrifying truth to me. My drink had been tampered. A drug had been secretly slipped into it and dissolved unnoticed. Panic overtook me as I realized the seriousness of the situation. With a sense of urgency, she pleaded me to escape. My heart raced as I looked back and saw Alex, whose behavior showed no signs of guilt or regret. With trembling hands, I called the police and described the events with a mixture of fear and disbelief. As I sought safety in the nearby supermarket, I couldn't shake the feeling of fear that hung heavy in the air. Hours passed, and the night stretched into the early hours of the morning. But despite the efforts of the police, Alex remained untraceable. His true identity remained a mystery. The whole incident had shaken me to the core and reminded me of the dangers hidden in the shadows of the digital world. In the end, it was the bravery of a stranger that saved me from inexpressible danger. Although her name remained unknown, her actions spoke volumes as a testimony to the power of courage in the face of disaster. I found myself on a blind date with a woman named Emily. It was a last-minute arrangement made by a mutual friend who swore we'd have a good time. It was a chilly evening in the heart of the city, and we were about to watch a late-night thriller. We agreed on the movie without much discussion, as we both needed a dose of adrenaline to break the ice. As we made our way to our seats, Emily confessed that she had a passion for thrilling movies, but hadn't seen one in a long time. I chuckled nervously and felt a hint of excitement, mixed with anxiety about how the evening would go. The movie theater was poorly lit, and we sat in the middle of a row, surrounded by the faint smell of buttered popcorn and anticipation. I kept fumbling with the zipper of my jacket and noticed Emily's anxious stare into the shadowy corners of the room. Midway through the film, just as the tension reached its peak on screen, Emily suddenly gasped and clutched at her throat. Panic ran through me as I realized she was choking, and her eyes were wide with fear. Desperately, I tried to remember the steps of the Heimlich maneuver, but my mind went blank in the chaos of the moment. Strangers nearby turned to stare with a blur of concern and confusion on their faces. Emily's desperate coughing resonated in the silence, drowning out the suspenseful soundtrack of the movie. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I tried to remove the thing blocking her airway, and my hands shook with adrenaline. The minutes stretched into an eternity as we fought against time, and the urgency of the situation grew with every passing second. Emily's face grew paler. Her breathing became heavy, and I felt a knot of fear grow tighter in my chest. Finally, with a collective effort from the surrounding audience, someone managed to administer the Heimlich maneuver effectively, and a small piece of popcorn flew from Emily's mouth. She gasped for air, her chest heaving with relief as color returned to her cheeks. As the excitement died down and Emily regained her composure, I couldn't shake the feeling of shock that filled the air. Despite the shattering experience, there was an unspoken connection that formed between us in that moment of crisis, a shared vulnerability that went beyond the awkwardness of a first date. Afterward, we exchanged grateful smiles and shaky laughter, and the tension of the evening dissolved like fog in the morning sun. And although the night had taken an unexpected turn, it was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of connection formed in the face of hardships.